Welcome back, everybody. It is Crabcakes and Baseball. I am Jerry Shank, your host. With me, as always, is our Maryland Scouting Director, Jamie Naill. Jamie, how are you doing?
Oh, we're doing well. Another day in paradise. 70 degrees up here in Maryland, in the middle of November, so I'm in a t-shirt.
It looks like you're in Florida right now,
Yeah.
with the background and everything. So that's great. It's all about positive thinking, especially in the winter months. Um, let's get into a pretty heavy episode that we've got today. I'm going to talk about rankings. Now, for all of you, obviously, last week we put out our 2024 rankings. Not a ton of movement, which typically happens in the fall. Fall can be it can be topsy turvy for a handful of kids, but not necessarily as crazy as the spring and summer, especially for players this fall, late fall, no different. We had some movement in the ranks. Make sure you're onto our site, prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. You can check out our top 225 players across the states of Maryland and Delaware. But having said all that, there was some movement. And so that's something that we're going to get into here that me and Jamie are going to be talking about in today's episode. So let's get right into it. Our 2024 ranks have come out, and our top 10, you've got Jake Yeager at the top spot, out of Archbishop Spalding, right handed pitcher, Maryland commit. Number two, McClellan Stifler, right handed pitcher out of North Hagerstown. He is a West Virginia commit. In the third spot, Nathan Arterbridge, St. George's Tech in Delaware, catcher from or at committed to Missouri State. And it stays the same with at the four and five spot. Number four, Henry Zatkowski, the left-handed pitcher out of River Hill, is a Duke commit. Number five, Eli DeRossi Citrone, the right-handed pitcher out of Urbana, who is a Radford commit. And then at number six, Andrew Kearns at Goretti, a right-handed pitcher, Virginia Tech commit. Number seven is Angel Santiago Cruz, a Severna Park middle infielder, right-handed pitcher. He's committed to Richmond. Tim Tyler's at the eighth spot from Caravel Academy, left-handed pitcher, first baseman. He's a JMU commit. Number nine is Nolan Peel at Tome Academy, the right-handed pitcher who is a Rutgers commit. Then rounding out our top 10, we've got Dawson Kerr, Clear Spring, right-handed pitcher slash infielder. He is an ECU commit. So not a ton of movement in the top 10. However, we did get a little bit of a jump, so to speak, and that goes to Tim Tyler. Tim Tyler was at number 10 in our last rankings update. He jumps up a few spots. He's in the number 8 spot. So now, Jamie, I'm going to quit talking because I have no saliva left in my mouth. But I'm going to throw it your way. What did you see this fall that really showed you that Tyler is moving in the right direction?
Yeah, we saw Timmy down in Richmond at the tournament. We've been waiting on the fastball to tick up a little bit, and we finally saw it. This summer leading into the fall, velo kept ticking up. He was still able to spin for strikes. So I love the pitchability coming from the left side. There's a little bit of two-way there as well with the power from the left side there. So that was one of the guys that I was looking forward to seeing this fall, and he impressed when we saw him down in Richmond in that tournament.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. And we did really get a good look on him and all those things. I remember we were talking about him during that tournament. So, obviously great, good for him. We've always been a fan. It's been kind of up and down. Got to see him, 2 years ago now at the University of Maryland when we ran the state games, our first state games there. Really impressed then. Was waiting for the velo jump and then it happened. But yeah, been really good. One thing I do want to talk about before we go off. So apparently, I'm just going to talk a lot in the first opening segment for us in this episode. But I did want to talk quickly about a player who I think might have a really good shot in 2024 to jump even higher. And I know we got him ranked number 4, so it's really not that much of a jump, but I think nationally is where we could see it. And that's Henry Zatkowski out of River Hill. We've talked about him numerous times, Jamie. Actually was talking about him with some other scouts today. And it's just so interesting with that left-handed slot, low slot. The velo gives you flashes. I think if he can show a little bit improved velocity this year, Jamie, like we're talking, let's get up a little bit more, the low 90s even, 92, 93. I think there's a potential for that because it's a pretty easy delivery. But I think this is a kid who could jump even higher on boards, could jump even higher in the rankings. It's a bold statement, but I like what I see. I still think there's a lot there left for him. Now, he's a Duke commit. Traditionally, they like to they'll go to college because it's such a great education there. And I'm not saying anything about any other place, but they tend to go there. He could maybe develop in a few years, but I see Zatkowski as being a potential player this year who could really jump up if things go the right way. I want to throw it to you. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've always loved the slot, and the frame has it developed into what it is now. It's tall, it's lanky, it's really long. It's an uncomfortable AB, whether you're a right-handed hitter or a left-handed hitter. But like you said, we're waiting on that velo to tick up a little bit. I think the breaker needs to get a little sharper, a little harder for him to reach the top of those boards. But we have him ranked where we have him for a reason. We love the projectability and we love how the arm works. So like you said, if he can get into that 91, 92, 93 range, you're going to see him jump up on boards. But there's a lot to like now, and there's still the ceiling is very, very high for Zatkowski.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like you definitely see that, and I'm sure he's on radars. I think we see that next jump, and especially like you, I think you made a great point too with the breaking ball. We can get that; it's a great pitch, but it's just a little too soft right now for that next level. We get that a little bit harder. Maybe he shows a discernible difference between the two. He forms, creates two separate ones. I think we got something special. So really, really good drop in right there. All right, now moving on. Let's get into our risers. Now, Jamie, we did the risers story. It's on prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. Obviously, make sure you're going there. You get to see it. You get to see a breakdown, get to see some more video on the players. But however, let's get into it a little bit more in depth here. I just want to get some of your thoughts on some of the guys who are bumped up in the rankings, some of the more significant ones kind of moving in, who have jumped into that top 40, kind of 15 to 40 spot in this update. First one we're going to talk about is Vance Monyor. He was ranked number 28th in our last rankings, jumped up to number 16. The catcher out of Walter Johnson. Jamie, let just take a few seconds to give me your thoughts.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better each time I see him. The hit tool is consistent. The ability to backspin to both gaps. It's one of the top hitting catchers in this class. I think he's ranked third as a catcher right now in the class. It just keeps getting better. The hit tool is there. Physicality, athletic. Not much else to say. Just every time I see him, he impresses me, which is crazy because I was impressed when I first saw him.
Next, this time I'll make sure the mute button is actually turned off when I press it. Um, So let's move on to the next one. Sean Williams, the right-handed pitcher out of Severna Park. Nice showing this summer at the end of the summer at our Mid-Atlantic Pro Case down in Richmond, Virginia area. He jumps up about 7 spots. He was 26th in our last update. Now he jumps inside the top 20 at number 19. Jamie, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, I loved him in the spring. I liked him at the pro case. It's a guy that we didn't see after the pro case, but it's a guy that I did some research on in other tournaments and other games that he threw. The velo continues to tick up. He can spin for strikes. The breaking ball is getting a little tighter, getting a little harder for some swing and miss in the zone. So it's a guy that I thought deserved a rise, and he's now inside the 20.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, and he really has it's looked like it's been a really strong summer. We've got to kind of look more from afar, apart from the pro case, but you really saw a nice jump, especially from the spring to the summer. And you don't always see that bit of a jump, especially towards the end of the summer. A lot of guys, a lot of innings. It's finally catching up with them after a strong spring. A lot of innings in the spring, a lot of innings in the summer. It kind of catches up to him, but he's been strong pretty much that entire time. So, kudos to Sean having a strong year in 23. Next player I do want to talk about, another one who bumped up 10 spots, just got inside or into the top 20, and that is Linganor's Stephen Curry, who jumped from the 30th spot to number 20. He's a Seton Hall commit. Jamie?
Yeah, it's long, it's loose. This is another guy that I did some research on the back end. He continues to get better. It's a guy that I have circled to go out and see in the spring, two, three, four times. The fastball explodes out of the hand. He can spin for strikes. He can throw it at the bottom quadrant of the zone as well. So it's a guy that I really like. I want to see. I haven't seen him with my own eyes in a while, but I really like that fastball. I love how it comes out of the hand, and I really like the frame as well.
All righty, continuing on, we got another riser. Now, this one was a pretty good jump here, up 25 spots. Jacob Hawk, the catcher corner out of, excuse me, I wrote down the wrong high school. Let me just double check real quick with it. Out of Loyola Blakefield. He's a University of Maryland commit. Really nice jump for him, Jamie. He's been trending up for the since basically this entire year.
Yeah, I loved him in the spring. Super physical, extremely strong. I liked him in the tournament. He's the one when we were down there seeing Jaeger. He caught Jaeger in the two innings, and I love the actions behind the plate. Strong hands back there. He frames extremely well, blocks and recovers. I like the footwork. It's clean. It's quick for the size that he has, and the hit tool continues to improve. I love the bat in the spring. He showed some power with a bolt into left center in that game. So that's a guy that deserves that rise inside, the top 25, and I can't wait to see him this spring.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been really good, and you see this happen too a lot of times where sometimes it just takes a little string to kind of get yourself comfortable and move in that right direction. But in Hawk's case, I mean, we've started seeing it like you said in the spring. It just kept on trending in the right direction. He's gotten better and better and better. Kudos to him for just continuing to get better. It'll be fun to follow him this spring for definitely, I think, a Blakefield team that's going to be pretty interesting, a part of a extremely competitive, as always, MIAA conference, which will again be a lot of fun and a slobber knocker from top to bottom. Now, the last player I want to talk about in our risers. Now, this is a player too recently committed or has committed to the University of Maryland. Left-handed arm Gray Willis. Now, Gray kind of fought a little injury bug for a little bit. Um, it had been a while since we had got to see him, but we finally got to lay eyes on him again this summer. Got to see him kind of late summer. Things just continue to rise, but big jump for him. He moved inside the top 40. He was at 71. Really interesting arm, Jamie. I think there's a lot of projection left too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty still there. This is a guy that we were waiting on everything to click, and it seems like it's on the way there. 6'5", 6'6", tough slot. The fastball explodes out of the hand. We've seen video where he's in the upper eights, low 90s. So if he can consistently get there and throw strikes, it's going to be a left-handed arm that a lot of people are going to circle, and he's going to jump up on a lot of people's boards just with the frame and how the arm works.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could definitely see that being one where Maryland's like, "Hey, we got one here," and um, it's always nice when that does happen when one's just kind of a late bloomer. It doesn't matter the instances, but yeah, man, this could be a really nice late pickup in the recruiting year. Now, let's continue on. We're going to move to our top uncommitted players from our rankings. I'm going to go in order. We're going to just talk about the next, basically, I think eight to 10 players who are the next up and are uncommitted. And then at the end of it, we'll talk about them a little bit more. So, our top uncommitted player we got right now is left-handed pitcher Jacob Seek. He came into our rankings just in our last update. He was at PDG Academy, which was formerly Pro 5 in Virginia. Now he's back in Maryland. He's at St. Michael's, left-handed arm. The next top uncommitted, Lucas Loring, the two-way talent pitcher from Decatur. Then we've got Logan Hastings, another talented arm out of Huntingtown. And really, you look at this too, there's a lot of arms that kind of headline it, and then you got some position guys in the back that are still uncommitted here. We've got two-way talent, probably an arm at the next level, but Bryce Mitchell out of Damascus, another right-handed arm, a lot of projection, a lot of talent. Jacob Goldman out of Whitman, really raw, but really interesting prospect there. Then you've got Caden Long, the third baseman pitcher out of Allegheny in Western Maryland. I know, Jamie, we've been a fan of him. We've talked about him in previous pods. Then you've also got the catcher out of Walkersville, Gavin Hughes. He just transferred. He was at Sherwood last year. Now he's at Walkersville, back at Walkersville, I should say. Then you've got middle infielder Freddie Diaz Jr. out of Middletown, slightly undersized, really interesting athlete. I think there's a good ceiling there on this young man. And then rounding out who we're talking about, our top uncommitted players, you got Nick Bernasuzzi, the catcher out of Calvert Hall, who, Jamie, we spoke about in our, I think, a previous podcast not too far ago. Was somebody who you really loved when we were talking about the scout days, really jumped out for you. So a big fan there. So that is our next nine top uncommitted guys in our rankings in order. Now, Jamie, I want to talk to you. We've got all this. There's a ton of commitments in the state of Maryland and Delaware, in the states of Maryland and Delaware, but these guys are still uncommitted. Out of these players that I spoke of, give me two that you're just really surprised are still available.
Yeah, I'll start with Jacob Seek. We're extremely happy to have him back in the state from PDG. I love the left-handed arm. The thing with him is consistency in the strike zone. We love how the fastball comes out of the hand. He can spin it as well to both sides of the plate. It's an athletic arm. It's a clean arm with some intent there. So, little surprised he's still uncommitted. He is a University of Maryland decommit. So he's weighing his options a little bit, but it's a lefty that I really like.
And then the next one, I believe we're going to talk about as being kind of surprised that's still available. Let's go back to the Eastern Shore. It's really our top two players we talked about: Seek, and then Stephen Decatur's two-way talent, Lucas Loring.
Yeah, Lucas Loring, love the frame, love how the arm works. There's some two-way there as well. He's athletic. Fastballs reaching 89, 90, 91. Three pitch, four pitch mix. So a little surprised that he's still uncommitted. I think he's got a lot of offers that he's weighing on, a lot of options that he's looking at. But it's a guy that I'm surprised that he's still uncommitted, and definitely coaches should jump all over that arm.
Yeah, and if you just catching in on this part of the episode, make sure you rewind about 15 to 30 seconds and get that list again of our top uncommitted players still remaining in the states of Maryland and Delaware. As always, our rankings are ever evolving, ever growing, trying to find as much talent as we can. We always will update them whenever we do, or whenever we get the opportunity to. So it's typically at least four times within a year, kind of every quarter as the year goes by. So it's always going to be moving around. You're going to see the biggest jumps now. Now, after Thanksgiving, we're going to do our 26s, I believe, Jamie. Was that correct? Um, and then we'll do the 25 class after that. So that's going to be kind of your first 2 weeks of December. You'll see our next two classes. And then sooner rather than later, we're going to have our first release of the 2027 rankings. Expect it's going to be a small list. Just realize that's going to continue to grow. This 24 list started out as about 15 when we threw the initial rankings out, some 3.5 years ago, and now we're at 225. We very easily could be at about 300, but we just decide to keep it at a more compact list of players across the state. So there's another soapbox that I'm going to step off of because apparently I just want to talk today, Jamie. So let's go into our last segment. We're going to talk about new faces, and really, we're just going to talk about one new face because it's a very interesting story. I don't want to steal too much of the thunder for you, but we've got a player who was in our rankings, then just kind of disappeared, and then all of a sudden, some things are kind of clicked. And that's Aiden Watts out of Walter Johnson High School. He's a Rochester commit. Jamie, take it away.
Yeah, Aiden Watts, like you said, he was in the rankings, and everything seemed to just click. I got more eyes on him. I was able to see him a little bit more over the past year or so. But we loved him down in the tournament at Richmond in October. Got up to 88. I love the slider for swing and miss. I love the frame, 6'3", 185, 190. So there's a lot of projection there. There's still plenty of life on the fastball. I really like the ceiling. I think it's a guy that can fill up the zone with intent. So it's a guy that you can say that he's a riser in these rankings, but he is technically a new face, and he jumps up as one of the top arms in this class.
Yeah, I mean, well, and we kind of discussed this before we put him on, but we hadn't got to see him. That jump hadn't quite been made yet. At least when we had the opportunity to see him, and then injury. I believe we were talking injury bug kind of got in the way for a little bit, and then like you just were describing this summer, things really changed. So again, another really good story where just letting everybody know this can be a reminder for all you young bucks that sometimes it just takes a little bit, and people can make jumps in the right direction and can end up in good places. So just continue to work and continue to work hard. Um, that's going to do it for today's episode. Again, we've got rankings coming out over the next 2 weeks. Next week will be off over Thanksgiving. There won't be anything out, and then we'll have our next three classes will be coming out over the course of the next few weeks, next month. Try to get everything out before the new year. A lot of stuff's going to be coming out. And after Thanksgiving, we're going to be doing a lot of leaderboards from the past year, some random stories as well. We're going to be doing most viewed most viewed profiles in January. And also, we've got events coming up. Our event release will be coming out very soon with our upcoming dates. We've got multiple dates across the states of Maryland and Delaware this year for the winter. So make sure you're checking that out. Something exciting that we're doing too. Our partners and sponsor, Mizuno Baseball. We're going to be working together, and we're going to give out a drawing for our first 100 participants who register for an event are going to be in potential for a drawing to win their own customized Mizuno glove. So that's something very exciting that we're going to be doing in this time. But if anybody has one thing I do want to say, if anybody has anything that they want us to talk about in these next few episodes, we're going to be doing random episodes of High and Tight. We're going to be talking about rankings. But if anybody wants to hear anything, this is a great time, kind of the great part of the year to do it. Any type of mailbag questions, make sure you're sending an email to myself, Shank at prepbaseballreport.com, or Naill at prepbaseballreport.com. Send us a topic, something that you want us to dive a little bit deeper into. We'd love to spend a little bit of time talking about it, because if you haven't figured it out yet, I love talking. Jamie is forced to talk, but when he does a very eloquent job at it when he's forced. So please send us some topics, some questions that you might have. We could even do a mailbag when we're doing this, but we're still going to keep Crabcakes and baseball going and moving along throughout the rest of the year and heading into the spring, into our winter events. So it should be a lot of fun. Going to be really busy as always. But I just wanted to throw that out for everybody. So make sure you're staying on the site. You're checking out. The events are going to be coming up soon. And then if you have any ideas for a topic you want us to go on, please by all means go. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Crab Cakes and Baseball. Jamie, any final words of wisdom for us all?
You know me, man of very few words. Rankings week, I love rankings. So over the next few weeks, I will not be sleeping very much until December. Um, That's it. Still a ton of uncommitted talent in the state. So, Maryland baseball is on the rise. We've talked about that a lot. We love the talent in the state, both Maryland and Delaware. So,
Mhm.
um, can't wait to get to these winter events, these preseason events, and then lead us into the spring. So, a lot to look forward to.
Yes, yes. Rankings week is definitely when rankings come out, sleep runs away. Uh, Jamie's looking through thousands of players and just going through in each class, and so it turns into your brain turns into mud. So it is a ton of fun, definitely.
Hmm.
So again, thank you all very much for your continued support. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time for Crab Cakes and Baseball. It's Crab Cakes and Baseball, because that's what PBR Maryland does. We'll see you next time.